You're listening to episode 015 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Doctors Jack and Heather Wolfson. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh and welcome to the Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we dive into what makes an awesome lifestyle. From relationships to money mindset, nutrition to fitness, emotional health to peak performance, we bring you on an amazing journey to unleashing your human potential. Today we're grateful to have the Doctors Wolfson, a tag team, join us on our mission to help our listeners create a lifestyle worth living. We know lifestyle consists of many things, and the knowledge that these two are going to drop today will be helping shape the lives of millions for years to come, and they're going to give you some amazing tools for you to have inside your locker. So we're going to start off with Dr. Jack. Here's a little bit about him. He's a D.O. F.A.C.C. He's going to explain what that means. He's a board-certified cardiologist who uses nutrition and supplements to prevent and treat disease. After 10 years of performing angiograms, pacemakers, and other cardiac procedures, Dr. Wolfson started Wolfson Integrative Cardiology in 2012 to offer patients the ultimate and holistic heart care. Raised in Chicago, he attended Midwestern University for his D.O. degree and completed a three-year internal medicine residency and a 3-year cardiology fellowship. So he's been in school for his whole life. He was selected as the chief fellow of his class. So this guy's got a brain that you're going to want to listen to. Together with his wife, Dr. Heather Wolfson D.C, she's an awesome chiropractor. They are the Doctors Wolfson. Their website, thedoctorswolfson.com, is an excellent resource, and I know that for a fact since I've been there many times, for holistic health and lifestyle information. That's why they're here on the Lifestyle Locker. The Doctors Wolfson have 2 beautiful boys who were born at home, nursed for over 3 years, and are still co-sleeping. He is also the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Paleo Cardiologist, which you will probably be buying before you finish listening to this podcast. Dr. Heather Wolfson is a chiropractor, we said, who provides chiropractic and nutritional care to adults and children. She's married to Dr. Jack, right, who we just mentioned, who's embraced this holistic lifestyle as a medical doctor. And after meeting Dr. Heather, he's kind of revamped his practice as well. She's an incredible mom who home birthed her 2 sons, Noah and Brody, and together, Doctors Wolfson are raising their children in a holistic fashion through breastfeeding, co-sleeping, chemical-free living, and natural immunity. Dr. Heather is a native of Arizona, loves the outdoors, and is an active animal rights and environmental conservation. So guys, that was a mouthful. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be here, Dr. Josh. And that was actually the short version. So good job getting through.
Awesome.
Good job getting through it.
Well, you guys have an amazing story, which I've heard already. But the people that are listening who may not know the both of you, I want you to both kind of share. Dr. Jack, you can start first, and then Heather can chime in as well. Give us a little bit of the background of, you became the paleo cardiologist. That's how I heard of you.
Yes, most certainly. So I'm a board certified cardiologist, as you said. My father was a DO, doctor of osteopathic medicine. He was a cardiologist, and I just followed right in his footsteps. Went through 4 years of medical school and 3 years of internal medicine, 3 years of cardiology, as you stated, kind of a lifetime student. And I finished up at the age of 31 and I became a practicing cardiologist, but I quickly became frustrated with all of, just like the lack of success in medicine and just seeing so many patients and so much sadness and sickness and no one seems to be getting better. At that same time, my father in his mid-50s came down with a strange neurologic disease similar to Parkinson's, and nobody knew why. Nobody knew what was going on with him, and there was no treatment even at the Mayo Clinic. And at that time, I met the shining star of my life and the inspiration for my life, and that's the beautiful woman sitting next to me. She is a doctor of chiropractic, as they say, a doctor of cause, and she opened up my eyes to the causation of my father's sickness and everybody else that I was seeing as a cardiologist. And I started to change my ways and change my lifestyle and change my practice. And it's been a whirlwind ever since, and I get to be on shows with amazing doctors like yourself. So all's good.
Yeah. So Dr. Heather, get into this. How did you find this guy, and how did you kind of get into his head? because we all have heard, those are listening, it's like, okay, you're either going to a chiropractor or you're going to a medical doctor. And this is like, you guys are like an awesome tag team, like made in heaven. I mean, you really are. So give that story.
Thank you, Josh. Well, it's kind of a funny story, and it starts from when I was a little girl, and I am a second-generation chiropractor, so I grew up in that whole chiropractic world, and I was very anti-medicine, anti-medical doctor, and really I aligned with the chiropractic lifestyle so well, but I wanted so much more. My dad did a lot, but I knew there was more to it. I knew there was the food, the environment, and I was a very strong-willed little girl. And my parents were divorced when I was 5. And though my mom was on board with not vaccinating us, and she breastfed, and she did, as much natural as she knew to do, I was almost a little bit too much for her to handle, and we would argue. And whether I had, this or that, and she'd encourage me to take maybe a prescription or a painkiller, I would say, hell no, over my dead body would I do anything like this, and this is, how I'm going to change the world. I love, I had such a passion, and I would tell her, I'm going to tell the world about medicine and medical doctors and how they cover up symptoms and how they don't address the cause, and why nobody needs a prescription and why everybody needs to be under chiropractic care, and I'm going to change the world, I used to tell her. And we really did have a real life argument one day, and I'll never forget it. And she said, Heather, she says, you can't change people, let alone change the world. And I'll never forget those words. And she was always an encouraging mom, but didn't want me to necessarily fail in life. And I knew those words, I was going to prove her wrong. And so she had said to me, you are so passionate about this. She says, your karma, Heather, is going to be to marry a medical doctor. And she said this to me during our argument. And I sat there for a second and I thought, oh my God, what could be worse than marrying a medical doctor? But something about it made so much sense to me, and it felt so right that medical doctor would walk into my life maybe, who would be that vehicle to give my voice to the world, because not many people trust or want to listen to a chiropractor, but they'll listen to the medical doctor, right? So in my back of my mind, for all those years since I was a little girl, I always thought I would marry a medical doctor and he'd be the one to change the world with me. And I was at a farmer's market, ironically, one day with my grandparents and my mother, and I heard a voice call my name, and I didn't recognize the voice, but he made it sound like I knew him. I turned around, he smiled at me, and it was a mutual patient of mine who was friendly with Jack, and he had said, my chiropractor's here if you want to go up to her. So he did come up to me, and he introduced himself, and my mom was just staring off in the distance, and I turned around and I said, that's the medical doctor that you always told me I was going to marry. And I said, this is the guy. I literally, from the moment we met, had this feeling. And we went on our first date, and our second date, 3 months later, we were engaged. And from the moment we met, I never kept anything to myself. I just continued to educate him on natural healing, on how the body really works. Like, you did go through 12 years of medical school, but you didn't come out with the same education I did. I went through the same training. It wasn't 12 years, but in my 4 years, we learned how to heal the body, and everything made sense to him. So he took that information and read one book after the other, took one seminar after the other, and began to really just almost, outshine me in the whole natural world. And even when we had our babies at home, he told our midwife, he asked her, how often do you go to the hospital, for complications? She says about 10% of the time. He says, we're not going to the hospital no matter what, because that's where I've come from, and I know what happens in the hospitals. And he was so hardcore, and ever since then, it's just been a snowball effect, and he's changing the world with me.
That's really cool, because I grew up in the same world you did, and seeing the other side of the story, Dr. Jack, you're the first medical doctor that I know that has embraced this message, and you've kind of made it a lifestyle-based mission to save the world. If I'm allowed to say that.
Well, how am I going to turn her down? I mean, seriously, how am I going to stop this rolling train? I certainly am not. It's Heather has said right from the beginning that the chiropractors would be my best friends, and it's all totally true. My MD and DO buddies, they're still locked in their old system. They're still locked in the pills and the procedures. They're still collecting all those insurance checks, and they're just in that particular sickness model. And hopefully they'll come around. I'll continue to educate. I'll continue to speak. And, there are other medical doctors and DOs and MDs, once again, that are coming to the holistic side. And I think the revolution is on for that matter. But it definitely needs to occur a lot faster. But if I can certainly help, with that and support the doctors of chiropractic, in my mind, the chiropractor should be the gatekeeper. They should be the primary care holistic provider. So if you have any ailments, you see the chiropractor first. If the chiropractor can't figure it out, or it's not in their area of expertise, then they can refer out to a cardiologist, or they can send someone to the emergency room where you go for emergencies. But I love the chiropractic, not only the adjustment, but just it's the chiropractic lifestyle. That's what really people need to embrace, and even the chiropractors need to embrace that lifestyle even more.
Yeah. So, I want the listeners to know this. You're not just like a famous author and a speaker. You actually are a practicing doctor. Yes.
I have a busy office here in Arizona. I saw patients today. I see patients most days, and it's an interesting position that I'm in out here because there's not many holistic cardiologists in the world that are giving their opinions. So I get a lot of people from all around the world, and I always want to be a practicing physician. And so therefore I'm able to make these holistic changes in my patients and see the results, send them off for chiropractic care, of which every patient of mine is and has to be under chiropractic care. See those changes, see the before, see the after results, as opposed to just someone who, no longer treats. That's not me.
Okay, so the book, The Paleo Cardiologist, I'm not going to dive deep into it right this second, but that obviously has to do with eating and a lifestyle, yes?
Well, I often say from the stage or when I'm talking to people that, to me, the paleo lifestyle and the chiropractic lifestyle are one and the same. It's about eating the right foods, getting the sleep, getting the sunshine, avoiding chemicals and toxins. Yes, physical manipulation among, as me as a DO or the chiropractor, the chiropractic adjustment. Maybe that's not so paleo-esque, but that being said, It's about living that healthy lifestyle, and that's what the book is about. So we do talk about nutrition in there, but we also talk about, once again, the lifestyle. It's like this whole kind of package kit on how to have a healthy heart and a healthy cardiovascular system. But all that information, of course, would lead to a lower risk of cancer and brain disease and diabetes and kidney disease and thyroid and you name it by following that paleo lifestyle or that chiropractic lifestyle. And there is a chapter 14, called The Wonders of Chiropractic.
Yeah, I remember, it's kind of funny. I'm trying to remember how I found you. I think I was talking to either a patient or a doctor, and they're like, have you heard of this guy, Dr. Wolfson? He's like this paleo cardiologist. There's like a chapter or something in it about chiropractic. I go, what are you talking about? So
She made me write it, dude. She made me write it.
No, I just remember, sending you finding you online and sending you a note. I'm like, I heard this book is awesome, and I ended up getting the book, and it was blown away. Like it's between the two of you, it's really neat to see the combination, how both of these sides can work when lifestyle is involved. Cardiologist, the paleo cardiologist, I get to see, when I'm reading the book, I go looking at the food and all of these different lifestyle pieces. I get the lifestyle part, the movement and the adjustments and those parts. But for me, the food is important. Right? I see so many patients myself that will only do X. I'm only going to run. That's my thing. I'll get adjusted every once in a while and I'm going to run. or I'll lift weights, or, people like, I'm going to be a vegan, or I'm going to be a this, I'm going to do a that. And people don't get great results because they kind of get stuck pigeonholing themselves into one thing, doing one thing and thinking that's the answer to health. So can you kind of expand, both of you, if you want, you can take turns, you don't have to beat each other up on this, but expand a little bit into the lifestyle, the nutrition, you said the sunshine, detoxing, things like that, because as a cardiologist, you've had so much education on heart health, obviously, I hope, right? But expand onto the lifestyle and how what you're doing with your patients and your guys' practice that can help change lives from the inside out, and it's not an outside in type of philosophy. You're actually helping people heal from the inside out.
Well, certainly one of the things you mentioned was heart health, and I had so much training in heart health, and the obvious thing to say there would be is that in retrospect, it wasn't training in heart health, it was training in heart sickness. And let me say also is that I think you and I, we connected, I'm sure on Facebook, for the first time, and we met at California Jam a couple times, and then we had the pleasure to speak with you and meet your entire, family and your mom and your dad. Yeah. At Life Vision, down in Marietta, Georgia, where you went to school as well, right, Heather?
No,
Dr. Heather?
I didn't go to school there. I went to a different chiropractic college I won't mention.
All right. Well, no. So that was great to see you guys and see your passion and to meet your dad and to, your mom is so eloquent up on stage as well. It's phenomenal. What I talk about in the book as far as nutrition is concerned is that no matter what diet you follow, just make it organic. Just do it without the chemicals, without the pesticides. So if you want to eat ice cream or cookies or cupcakes, okay, go to a natural grocer, go to a holistic, health food store and buy it organically, because no matter what your vice is, if you do it organically, at least you're avoiding the chemicals, and that makes a big deal.
Yeah. I think as a chiropractor, you mentioned how does this fit into both of our lifestyles and our practices. I believe chiropractors, at least, BJ and D.D. Palmer's time, if it was just straight chiropractic, I think that it was all you really needed. But today, sadly, we are exposed to so much between our food, our air, our water, and a chiropractor is really responsible to at least address this issue with our patients. So we can't just keep adjusting and not discuss the foods they're eating, the foods they're not eating, the mattress they're sleeping on, is it filled with flame retardants and chemicals? Do they have a good water purification system? What kind of air are they breathing on the inside of their home? What's off-gassing on the inside of their home making them sick? We have to address these issues because this wasn't around, 100 years ago like it is today, GMO foods and glyphosate, So I believe that we have a responsibility as chiropractors to take it to the next level, because the medical doctor is certainly not going to do it, and they're looking to us for those answers. They're already looking to get a greens powder, a multivitamin, and we are the trusted source for that information. So why not sell the best? Why not know it all and be able to help that patient so that we can not only give them the best chiropractic adjustment, but allow them to hopefully hold that adjustment longer, hopefully, help with other, conditions that they might be suffering from. So we are really looked up to as chiropractors for those messages.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to bounce something off you, Dr. Jack. Am I allowed to call you that, or would you prefer Dr. Wolfson? I don't want to say Dr. Wolfson because I know you're both going to answer that. We're cool Dr. with that?
Yeah, Doctor, you can call me whatever you want, Dr. Josh.
Perfect.
Whatever you want.
Perfect. So, going through your stuff and some of our pre-conversation, I want you to kind of maybe give a couple, because people are going to listen to this and they're going to see, Dr. Jack Wolfson, cardiologist, Dr. Heather Wolfson D.C, chiropractor, in the show notes, and before they click and listen, they're going to see that you're a cardiologist, and they might want to know certain things maybe that you can share that someone like, wow, I didn't know that about heart health. Maybe like you have a couple things up your sleeve and you can share with them, because people are going to want to know these things because they want to have a better life. That's why they're listening to the show.
You got it. Well, heart disease, whether it's high blood pressure or heart attacks or cholesterol issues or heart failure, it's not from a lack of pharmaceuticals. There's a cause for it. And the individual person in conjunction with a holistic physician, such as the doctor of chiropractic, needs to find that cause. So, for example, when it comes to high blood pressure, once again, it's not from a lack of high blood pressure drugs why someone would develop it. There's a cause. We do know that chiropractic care reduces blood pressure. Studies show 17 points on the top to 10 points on the bottom. So that's better than any pharmaceutical can do. So can your doctor of chiropractic help with blood pressure? Yes. When it comes to not only the adjustment, but then also eating the right foods and getting sleep and getting sunshine. All those things help to impact blood pressure, heart health. And I guess in short, there's just so many different things we can do with, once again, nutrition, lifestyle, and evidence-based supplements that we don't need the pharmaceuticals. We can do it in a different way. And Dr. Heather and I do that in our office every single day. And there's not much that excites a cardiologist like me more than taking people off of pharmaceuticals safely and successfully.
Yeah, so you mentioned something. You said evidence-based supplements. Kind of dive in that for a second. Because I'm sure people listening have never heard that before. They're used to going to get a Centrum from like Walgreens or something.
Well, believe it or not, people accuse me of being the crazy cardiologist who fell in love with a beautiful chiropractor and went off the deep end. That's what a lot of people would think about me. And frankly, I could care less what those people think. I'm worried about, I want to take care of the people that believe in this message. But the reality is that my book has 300 references at the end of the book. And those references are by MDs, and they're by DOs, and they're by DCs, and they're from PhDs. So if you don't believe in my message, and kind of, making fun of me, well, then you're also making fun of or denigrating the authors of all those studies. So I like to operate in the world of evidence-based as much as possible. Now, that being said, some things are not necessarily going to have tons of evidence. People would shoot down chiropractic and say, well, there's not evidence of this or that. Well, first of all, if you look, there is actually a lot of evidence, but I don't need evidence to say that when I go to the chiropractor and get adjusted, that I feel better, that certain things, are better, that my patients, when they are under the care of a chiropractor, that their blood pressure is better, their heart rhythm disorder is better, their heart failure is better, their palpitations, their syncope, you name the diagnosis, it gets better under chiropractic care. But when it comes to supplements, once again, there's tons of studies on whether it's vitamin A, C, D, magnesium, potassium, berberine, omega-3 fish oil, probiotics, digestive enzymes. It's in the medical literature, but the medical doctors don't care. They don't want to read that. They don't have time to, they don't make the time to talk about, lead and cardiovascular disease, aluminum and cardiovascular disease, plastic, phthalates, whatever it may be, volatile organic compounds or persistent organic pollutants, whatever it is. Air pollution. I mean, it's all in there. It's all in the literature. It's just the average medical doctor does not read that.
Okay, they're more concerned with, I guess, raising and lowering numbers.
They're concerned most importantly about getting the patient in front of them out of the office as quickly as possible so they can see another patient. Okay. And they and I say that because I know that's how I practice when we had our business meetings. I mean, that's what it was all about, was just getting the patient tested, sending them for lucrative, stress tests and cardiac ultrasounds. And sure, we're it's in the back of our mind that we're doing this for health reasons, but it's a money factory, and cycling through those people is what it's about. And you get people, out of the office quickly. I mean, you can either a child comes in with an ear infection, and Heather can relieve that ear infection, let the body heal itself with an adjustment in a split second. My split second approach used to be, here's your antibiotics. So there's a better way to do it, and DCs are right on.
Okay, so here's another question. I follow you guys on Instagram, on Facebook. I've been friendly that way for a little while now. And I always see you guys at farmers markets holding up weird fruit and vegetables and all sorts of things that I have never seen before in my life. I don't know if they just grow them in Arizona, but in New York we don't have those things. We have, like smog from the city rolling in. But, if there's, and most of the listeners here have definitely heard of like the Paleo diet. Most have heard like a keto diet or ketogenic diet. I want you to touch on two things, both of you, please. What foods are people not getting enough of that they should be eating more of? What are your favorite things to eat that are something like a healthy snack that someone could do, like an athlete like myself? I'm training for a marathon. What is an awesome snack that I could just chomp on? So that's the first question, food, and what they're not getting enough of. And second question is, actually I'll get to the second question. You guys answered that first. That's a big one.
Yeah, thanks for taking the pressure off us to don't give us two questions at once. Yeah, this is better. I'm going to fire away on that. What are most people missing in their diet?
So I see a lot of times, especially in the pediatric community that I see, is the parents are saying, well, I'm doing paleo, or, we're following strict. We're not doing gluten. We're not doing dairy, certainly pasteurized dairy and conventional dairy. But then I say, are you eating all the right foods? It's not just about the foods to avoid. Your child's underweight. They're not, functioning well in school. They're not meeting milestones. And, you can see the difference in the quality of these children, whether it be their skin, their tone, whatever it might be. And so, are you eating the fats that your brain, in every cell of your body needs, the avocados, the olives, the fresh organic coconuts, the sprouted walnuts, and all these fats that these children need to grow. My kids, you pick them up and they're like made of lead. And I am still nursing my 4.5, almost 5-year-old. He'll be 5 next week, actually. And I am still nursing him. So imagine all those amazing fats. It's not a whole lot of milk that he's still getting, but whatever is there. And he is getting that brain and every cell of his body fueled by nature's perfect food. So when we look at these kids, and we're introducing the wild salmons and the sardines and the anchovies, so all of these parents, they're not in the least, they're not even exposing their children, because they're not eating these foods. They didn't eat the foods when they were pregnant. They didn't eat the foods when they were hopefully nursing. And this is the palate that's developed for that child. Come the age of eating, they will eat those foods, the broccolis and the Brussels sprouts and the kale and the wild salmon. They're going to have a taste for it. And so, in our house, as paleo, as we are, we try and promote as much organ meat as possible. The organs are prized meats, so it's not the filet mignon and it's not the steak, the T-bone steaks. It is the organ meats, the livers, the thyroid, the thymus, the adrenals, the kidneys. We order these from an amazing organic farm, Amish farm in Pennsylvania, and the quality of the food that we order, and we make sure, and occasionally we'll cheat on some raw dairy from this farm. One of the reasons why is the only farm I'll order from is because they don't take the baby cow away from the mom, which is just, I think, a critical part of knowing where your food comes from. I will never, treat myself to an ice cream or a glass of milk if I know that baby cow lacked because I was providing something that's just, a treat for me. So we are very respectful, to nature first. And that's why my children don't ever sneak these foods at school or anywhere else, because I've showed them the videos of where their food comes from versus where the other kids' food comes from at school, and they wouldn't dare harm another animal for their pleasure. So my kids, they're eating the wild salmon and the Brussels sprouts for dinner and asking for seconds and thirds. Yeah. It's what they're raised to eat. So that's my big thing in my practice, is getting these kids to eat the foods. If you grow your food, your kids are probably going to eat it too. So
you mentioned organ meats. Dive into that for a couple seconds, because I know people that are listening are going to go, what, I'm supposed to eat that stuff? I thought that's what they just stuffed the bird with on Thanksgiving, that I'm supposed to either make gravy with or throw out. Why would someone eat that?
And it sounds gross to us, maybe because we weren't raised that way, but actually thyroid from a cow tastes a lot better than chicken, poultry, in my taste buds. But so any mammal in nature that hunts another mammal, they're going to gut that mammal and eat the insides, right? All the organs, whether it be a whale in the ocean, whether it be a lion, hunting, wild game, they gut the animal. You don't see it tearing the side, tissue off the bones.
Okay.
Gut the animal unless they were starving to death. Are they going to go for that? It's usually the buzzards and all the secondary animals that are going to come and eat the flesh, but they gut all the primary organs for all of those nutrients and minerals and vitamins.
So they're very nutrient rich. I mean, that's why I should go out tomorrow and probably find this farm that you guys found and order some.
I will give you the name. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. And second, this is a question. I mean, we didn't mention this at all, but I have a lot of patients that say, "Oh, I'm going to go vegan," and I kind of say, "I don't know about that." Dr. Jack, hit that one.
Well, every society in the history of the world has been a meat and or seafood eater. Every animal species either eats other animals or they eat insects. So those people that are vegan, they are experimenting on themselves. Doctors who recommend vegan nutrition are sadly mistaken, and I think leading the majority of their patients down a dangerous road. The world is full of recovering vegans. Some people seem to feel well on it for a year, 2, 3, 10 years, but eventually they burn out. The healthiest food on the planet for a human baby, of course, is breast milk, and that's all fat, and cholesterol.
Yeah.
It's certainly not vegan. Every animal is chasing down another animal to eat their eggs. Birds and whatnot. And finally, the healthiest people on the planet, according to all research, are the people that certainly eat fish. So if you're a vegan, I would highly encourage you to be a pesco vegan or a pesco vegetarian. And eat seafood. At the very least, eat an oyster. Why can't you eat an oyster? I mean, how does an oyster have any more feelings than a head of cabbage? We've had a garden in our house, and you plant the seeds, and the sprouts come up, and then you have to thin out the herd because only one of those sprouts can actually grow into a plant. And I've seen Dr. Heather actually start to tear up because she's got to thin out that herd a little bit and taking the life of that sprout.
It's sad. I want to see them all grow.
We love animals. We're, like we said, big into animal rescue. But the reality is, for our optimal health, you need to eat responsible paleo. You need to eat free-range grass-fed. You have to eat wild seafood. Which
is why we're so committed to making sure we know where our food comes from, and we research every farm that we order our food from.
So just for that vegan conversation, what are they missing? Because if a vegan's listening right now, they're going, "Whoa, I don't know about this guy. He said it's not good." But is there certain things in the meat and flesh?
Well, first of all, by not eating seafood, you're missing omega-3. That's first and foremost. And Dr. Heather taught me this very early on when I was reading some of the books. And it's like, well, there's omega-3 as alpha-linoleic acid and walnut oil and flaxseed. Uh-huh. And the humans really do not have a good enzymatic function to convert that ALA into EPA-DHA.
Which is the omega-3, the good stuff.
Which is really what's critical for brain and cellular function. Okay. From the cardiovascular data, we know that the people that have the highest levels of omega-3 EPA-DHA have the lowest risk of cardiovascular events. And I test people and I test vegans, and they're extraordinarily low because the body just does not convert that walnut oil and flaxseed oil into EPA-DHA. And then, of course, if you look at things like some of the amino acids that you'll be deficient in when you follow a vegan diet, you'll be deficient in B12 because B12 only comes from animal sources. Things like vitamin D, for example. Vitamin D, where does the vegan get it, especially if they live in a city where they don't get much sunshine? Vitamin D is only going to come from animal foods. You can maybe get a little bit from mushrooms, but it's a different variety. Humans are meant to eat other animals. That's just it's just how we were designed. All the studies show it. All history shows it. We love animals, like we said, as much as the next person, but it has to be done. If we're having a conversation about optimal health,
yes,
this is where it starts.
Good. I'm glad you said that, because that's a common question. Eating is a big thing. Well, in my household it is, but I mean, I think in everybody's household and life, it's an all day thing in my office. Oh, I'm eating this, or I get that. Like, food is always a conversation. So the vegan thing is become all too unpopular for me in my office, but popular. And I'm not a fan of it. But now I have some ammunition to have a conversation with the patients, and I'm definitely gonna. Your book's gonna be there ready.
I'll also add this to what Dr. Jack said is most vegans, they'll report that they feel fabulous since going vegan. And I always ask what they ate. For example, my own brother-in-law, before he went and tried veganism and said he felt incredible. Well, what was he eating? He was eating Taco Bell. He was eating pizza. He was, all of these disgusting, it's not even food. So, of course, when you go from eating, all this garbage and then all you're eating is fruits and vegetables, well, of course you feel fabulous because you've felt like garbage your entire life. And, your skin starts to improve and everything starts to clear up, right? Because you're not eating the garbage. But then time, takes its toll after you're missing all the nutrients that we do need from those animal products. So just because you feel fabulous and you're looking great after a year or 2 years or 5 years does not mean that we're necessarily down the right path.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you are what you eat.
Yes.
In that sense, right? So I want to turn a little bit, Dr. Heather. This is going to be for you. You mentioned breastfeeding for long periods of time. I know this has nothing to do with paleo, but I think it has to do with life, and that's where on the Lifestyle Locker. So we got to hit this here. One, why is it important? And then two, why is the longevity of doing it important for the child?
I love this question, and it is relating to paleo, because all paleo really means is what we've been doing for millions of years. So paleo is not going anywhere. It's not a fad. It's not a diet. It's what the human being is supposed to eat, put on their skin, how they're supposed to squat, how they're supposed to hunt, how they're supposed to live, right?
Okay, got it.
So we've been nursing, for millions and millions of years. And every mammal in nature, if you watch, there's a natural progression to their whole, nursing and weaning. You can go sadly to the Phoenix Zoo here and watch, the 5-year-old orangutan still nursing on her mommy. So when we look at, worldwide, they say the average time to breastfeed is about 4.2 years. And the way I see it is every kid is different, but the child who supposedly weans themselves when they were 9 months old or, 2 or whatever it is, there's not what's called like this attachment parenting, and you give the breast anytime it's required or anytime the baby wants it. I think a lot of American, raised people are only nursing, behind closed doors at home. They think it's just for food. It is for everything. It is a pacifier. It is to comfort that child. It is to nourish that child. It is to bond with that child. And the baby knows best. So at this point, when my almost 5-year-old nurses is only to bed, and it's literally for about 10 seconds. And then he goes to bed some nights, doesn't want it. And then if he does wake up in the middle of the night with maybe a bad dream, or he just has to go to the restroom and he wants the boobie, I'll give him the boobie. We co-sleep. And then when he wakes up, if I'm still in the bed, he might want, to nurse for literally 3 seconds, and that's it. So at this point, there's little milk, but there's still so many benefits. You never lose the benefit of breast milk, right? Why would it be any less effective for a 4-year-old than a 4-month-old, right? We do know that we secrete the most antibody protection in those first 6 months, but that milk is nature's food. You can survive and thrive off of that exclusively for the first year of that baby's life, which is actually the best thing for that baby. And your milk changes based on what illness they have. It's actually catered to what kind of sex they are. It is catered to a lot of different things. And so my breast milk continues to change daily to what the needs are of my child. He might have chicken pox next week. My milk is going to probably, if I was exposed to it with him, I'm going to help that baby, even though he's 4, almost 5, get through these infections, these benign childhood infections that they're supposed to get. And when my first was 3, almost 3, he got rotavirus. It was a week before his 3rd birthday. He did not drink or eat for 4 days straight. The only thing he did was nurse. And at almost 3, I didn't have a whole lot of milk, but that is the only thing that he took. Now, I would have been in a hospital with him in the ER, right, with an IV bag if he didn't drink for 3 or 4 days straight. So imagine, and this is not third world. We have, these hospitals and whatnot. Just because we live in the United States of America doesn't mean that you stop nursing when the baby's 6 months old.
Yeah, not for convenience or vanity.
It's not, the bond is amazing, and I can't imagine, I don't know how people do it without breastfeeding, and it is just the most amazing natural. You have to almost be in it to understand it. And I remember as a chiropractor early on, I saw one of my patients nursing a 3-year-old, and I personally thought it was a little strange myself until I had my own kids, and I'm like, now I get it. And that baby will nurse or will wean when they're ready.
Yeah. So it's, I liked what you said, it changes based on the child's needs, or the baby's needs. It's like the perfectly genetically designed nutrition that changes, like it can probably change in a split second. Maybe not that fast, but the processes happen. So,
it does.
So, and and Dr. Jack was saying like omega-3s, it's all the healthy saturated fats in there. That's like that keto, the baby's on a keto diet. Is that what it is? That's the start, right?
Yeah. Well, they eat plenty of food now. He's almost.
No, when they're little.
There still is a lot. All that lactose, all that milk sugar. That's in there. But there's definitely, between it is nature's perfect food. That's all there is to it, and that's why people can talk in different diets, and they could say in the keto diet where they do a lot of butter or they do cheese or other dairy products. That's food that's designed for a baby cow, and our ancestors didn't go chasing other animals to milk them or make cheese and butter and yogurt and certainly not ice cream out of their milk. So that's not really paleo-esque. It still may be low carb in some cases and still may fall under keto. What bothers me about keto is when people restrict so many of the good carbs, all the green leafy vegetables, the carrots, the celery, the cucumber, all those healthy foods. Sometimes the keto people say to stay, low on those.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. That's scary.
And
vegetables.
Our pyramid, our paleo pyramid, the foundation of the pyramid is vegetables. Eating vegetables at every opportunity. We do a greens powder drink every morning. We do vegetables for lunch. We do vegetables with our dinner, but everybody should be eating some amount of meat and certainly seafood. There are plenty of paleo diets that have a pyramid and meat's at the foundation of it. For us, it's not. Although, listen, Eskimos eat meat all day long and their health is extraordinary. There's hunter-gatherers around the world that do eat a heavy meat-based diet. Our opinion is we're gatherers first, but everybody should be eating some meat and seafood.
And I'd imagine also those people that are the Eskimos, they're not going to be gardening. They're not getting vegetables anywhere. They're eating
vegetables
fat,
there.
Right?
No, and hence that's why those organ meats are so beneficial, because how would an Eskimo get vitamin C, right? There's no limes, lemons, citrus that's growing there, but animals naturally make vitamin C, and it's stored in their glands, specifically in their adrenal glands, and the human eats that, and that's how they get their vitamin C.
Neat. Okay. Now I'm getting a little classier. I like this. So we're doing awesome here, and what I want to do, I want to kind of pivot a little bit more. The listeners would probably have like 10 pages of notes filled like myself at this point, because we're kind of bouncing around. But what I want to do now is see if we can't get like three like golden nuggets. You guys, if you need to talk amongst yourselves, please. But people can take home. It's like you these 3 things we want you to do to improve your lifestyle today? Not tomorrow, not yesterday, now. What are 3 things that someone can do?
So this is kind of like this is like a game show, right? Do Heather and I get to like discuss our top 3 things? Make sure
listen, if you guys do 3 each, I'm totally cool with that, because people listening are probably loving this because it's so authentic and real. So let's roll.
I do want to say one thing. You just spoke in New Jersey, and Dr. Ben Lerner was one of the speakers, and we were out to dinner with him and a few of the other doctors, and we were given what I believe is the greatest compliment I will ever receive in my life. When we left, we were on the airplane on a Sunday evening, and Jack received a text message from Dr. Lerner, and he saw, our lifestyle, how we ordered at the organic grass-fed, restaurant we chose, to take people to, and he saw the passion and how hardcore we are, and he sent Jack a text message and said, if everybody in the world lived the way you and Heather do tomorrow, which is Monday, he said by Tuesday, the planet and the people would be saved. They would all be saved. It's so true. If we all just knew where our food came from, if we just cared, if we just spent that extra few minutes to at least not harm an animal, to at least not harm the environment, and in the, at least I guess not harm our own bodies. I mean, the choices that we're making today are affecting on people in the earth on so many levels. So we're raising our boys to be respectful of where their food came from and how they're leaving this place. And so that would be our ultimate goal, is just to have people be more conscious and aware, and have chiropractors lead this same lifestyle to encourage their patients. So, but our top legacy. 3, thank you. What's our top 3?
Top 3 things for health has to be, as we've said many times during the show, responsible organic paleo.
Good. 1, I like it.
2 is get appropriate amount of sleep. Like our ancestors, go to sleep with the sun down and awake with the sunrise. And then number 3 is embrace the power of the sun. As human beings, we've been in the sun for millions of years. The sun is the source of life. The sun gives energy to every plant and every animal and every living being on Earth, and we need to embrace it. And anyone who says the sun is dangerous, you need to run away from those people. The literature is very clear. Those people who get the most amount of sun have the lowest risk of everything. So get plenty of sun. Sunburn bad, sunshine is good, and we need to embrace it.
I'm going to add a 4th because I believe it has to be said, is I think all moms and dads, but especially moms, need to follow that gut instinct that they have and not listen to the mother-in-law and the best friend. And they need to know that co-sleeping, breastfeeding, attachment parenting, these are all normal and natural feelings. Not letting your kid cry it out, picking your kid up, you don't spoil a kid, wearing your kid, not strolling a kid. These are all things that I believe I am saying from the stage and from every podcasts all over the world. I want to empower women to be good moms again and not be talked into going back to work and leaving your kids in daycare, and you have to be a high-powered, woman. I went to school for a long time to become a chiropractor, and I told my patients I'd be running right back to practice, and I had that baby, and I realized where my job was, and I stayed at home and I raised my babies. And I'm slowly, back part-time, but a mom's job is to raise their babies, and you have to be comfortable with that. It's the greatest job anybody could ever have, and it goes by pretty quickly.
Very, very good. So we got 4 gold bars, not golden nuggets here, that people need to do.
Yeah, so just to recap, Dr. Josh, it was eat paleo, get sunshine, get sleep, and don't listen to your mother-in-law. That's
don't tell my mother-in-law that, please. She loves me. I mean, come on.
Well, also, listen, and the other thing, the past is the past. We're not here to beat up people or chastise them for what they did in the past. It's all about going forward. So whatever you did in the past, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, whatever it is, let's move forward and make the world a healthier and a happier place.
Locker Nation, how about those two? The Doctors Wolfson, an amazing dynamic duo in the healthcare world. What I want you to do is go out and buy the Paleo Cardiologist. Get it on Amazon. Download it, buy the hardcover. I recommend buying the hardcover because you can highlight it and share it with people. We share it with our patients. And I want you to check out our show notes, because we're going to have everything the Doctors Wolfson, so you can connect with them. Because you know what? You're going to be eating organ meat, getting your daily sun, having a good time, getting chiropractic care, everything that we want you to be doing. And what I want you to do as well is, this is pretty cool. This is our favorite part of the show right now for me, because this is a long time in the making. Our website, lifestylelocker.com, is mostly up. Check it out. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Lifestyle Locker. Let us know what you think. Let us know what additions you might want to it. And find me on Instagram at Dr. Josh Hand. So until next time, Locker Nation, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.